Top of the morning, fight fans. This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I got some new news for you concerning Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter states that Errol Spence is not, I repeat, is not the most feared welterweight in the division. And they asked him, of course, who is? And he said, me, of course, Shawn Porter. I'm the most feared welterweight. And he also went on to say that he would like to fight Terrance T-Bud Crawford. He said in the 10th round of him watching the, Benavidez fight, he said that he knows he has to get in there with Terrance Crawford. Okay, it's time for some counterpunching, guys. It's time to counterpunch this. Shawn Porter was doing interviews of whatnot, and I feel that this is a rebuttal because he was mentioned in a face-off between Errol Spence and Terrance Crawford. And Errol Spence made a comment and said, why would I fight you, which was Terrance Crawford, when I could go fight and knock out Shawn Porter, which is the easiest opponent? And I feel that Shawn Porter heard this and he had to feel that he had to respond, which I can totally respect. Because if I was Shawn Porter, I'd have done the same thing. Hell, y'all calling me easy, but in fact, I want to fight the guy that Errol Spence is beating around the bush and reneging on and reluctant to fight for some strange reason. Go after the guy that wants the guy, right? That is a great, I repeat, a great strategy for Shawn Porter. See, Shawn Porter takes on the guy that no one wants to fight, claiming he's on the other side of the street. Nobody said that shit except Errol Spence. Okay, so if a fight between Shawn Porter and Terrance Crawford actually gets made, you know what that's going to mean? Do you know what that's going to mean? First off, it's going to mean that Shawn Porter is a PBC fighter. He's an Al Heyman guy. So is Errol Spence. Those guys are in the same boat. So there wouldn't be any reason, whoever wins, there wouldn't be any reason why Errol Spence fight and Terrance Crawford fight wouldn't happen anyway. So if Terrence not beats Shawn Porter, okay, if he beats Shawn Porter in a fight, which is funny, I'll get to that strategy later, but if he beats him, there'll be no excuses at that point. That same side of the street shit would hold no weight at all. It would hold no weight because that is just something that Errol Spence, you could clearly see, that's something that he just threw in there because he did not want to get in the ring with Terrance Crawford. That would be the great modifier to show people like, hey, that particular fight could be made and is refusing to be made. You know what I mean? And that means if Shawn Porter goes to Al Heyman and say, hey, I want this fight, like I recommend to Errol Spence should do, that means, okay, that fight should be made and it could have been made, and Errol Spence is not trying to go out to the bat to make that fight made. You know what I mean? And it also means that Al Heyman would be like, okay, Shawn Porter, I will put you in there with Terrance Crawford, but not necessarily Errol Spence. You know what I mean? I'll throw you to that wolf, or to the wolves, so to speak, because I know that fight is a good wedge in between Errol Spence and Terrance Crawford. See, for whatever reason, Mayweather and Al Heyman don't want Errol Spence in there with Terrance Crawford. Why? Because he might lose. It would be a good fight. I won't say it won't be a good fight, but there's a good possibility that Terrance Crawford would end up outboxing Errol Spence and probably stopping him late like he did Benavidez. He said, Terrance Crawford said, hey, I'll make you do the stanky leg. You know what I mean? When I stop you, what they're going to say, you stayed in the welterweight division too long because you were weight drained, because you were, quote unquote, the weight bully. I get it. And I know why he said that. But as far as Shawn Porter getting in there and fighting Terrance Crawford, that would be an awesome fight. And I'm all for it 100%. Hell, 110%. Because Shawn Porter knows he was pissed off when they were talking about him. That's all it means. He's like, oh, y'all think I'm easy? Hell, I'll fight Terrance Crawford. The hell with Errol Spence. I'll fight the dude on the other side of the street because obviously Errol Spence don't, right? And it's funny, Terrance Crawford said in the interview, they asked him, who do you think would be the toughest fight? And he was like, well, you know what? Honestly, I don't know. And they were like, explain. He says, well, a lot of times the easiest fight that it might appear is the hardest fight. And the hardest fight ends up being, to other people, it ends up being the easiest fight. And that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense because a lot of times, the styles make the fights, first of all. You know what I mean? And someone like Shawn Porter would be difficult for someone like Terrance Crawford. You know what I mean? I could see that being difficult. Not saying it would, but I could see it being a challenge for Terrance Crawford. Why? Because you remember how Jeff Horn was? Jeff Horn was like a, headstrong, come forward fighter that threw nasty hooks, and he caught Terrance Crawford with a couple of those hooks just with using his size and using, that type of bulldog type style that he does. Shawn Porter does that all day long, and he has better boxing ability, I feel, than Jeff Horn. But I must add this in. Speaking of Jeff Horn, just to touch in on him, no one else has fought him, so they can't diss Jeff Horn. The only person that has fought Jeff Horn is Manny Pacquiao, and had a tough fight with Manny because he weighed on Manny, and Manny's small, and Terrance Crawford. All those other guys on the other side of the street can't say shit about Jeff Horn. Okay, moving on. Okay, Shawn Porter has great boxing ability, or good boxing ability. Let's say that, not great, but good boxing ability. And he's able to get in there and throw punches to the body. You know what I mean? He's not that stand back fighter that just, is waiting for openings and looking for counter punches like someone like Broner or Mayweather or something like that. You know what I mean? He's not that type of fighter. He's in there to come right in you, to get right in the center of your chest and throw punches, and create his own attack and own openings, by fierce aggression. So that might be a problem for Terrance Crawford. Who knows? But I do like what Shawn Porter says. Now, will he act on it? That is another story. But you guys tell me what you think about Shawn Porter making the remarks about taking on Terrance T. Bud Crawford, the new boogeyman in the welterweight division. You guys please subscribe. And this is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and you guys been counterpunched. Peace.